Joe, does this win signal that Leclerc can now be a reliable contender for the win the rest of the season here?
I'm going to say yes because Charles Leclerc, he did everything right this weekend at Monaco. Max Verstappen, his absence there was because of a mistake in qualifying, a mistake he made in qualifying. He still had a lot of pressure from the McLaren teams. We've seen they are on another level. They are ready to go out there and contend for wins. Charles Leclerc, picture perfect, gets the job done. He gets the win. He is now closing in on Max Verstappen for the points championship. I do see this as a signal that he is becoming a reliable contender. And we've talked about this with other series too. When you get that win or you go break a long winless streak, it sort of gives you that renewed confidence. The Ferrari team, they're looking great again. I'm hopeful the Ferrari team could keep this up so we do have a championship battle between Verstappen and Leclerc, and hopefully more action up front, and it's not just a dominance of Max Verstappen.
Yeah, Joe, it's kind of been a surprising turn of this season so far in Formula One. I thought Max Verstappen would run away with the championship just like he did last year, but it seems like the Ferrari has really cut down the gap to Red Bull quite a bit. I still think Red Bull has the upper hand, but they definitely don't have the advantage that they have last year, and I think that's really good for F1. I don't know if I can say that Leclerc is going to be a reliable contender for the win. I still think Max is going to be the favorite to win most weeks, but I definitely think, if Max has an off weekend like he did this weekend, Monaco, Leclerc, Ferrari can definitely pounce. And I guess everything that team principal, Fergie for sure has been doing behind the scenes, we're finally starting to see the effects of that. And this Ferrari team is looking as strong as I've seen them in a long time. If they could just get their strategy game right, in most races, I think that'd be perfectly fine. Got Lewis Hamilton coming in next year, and based on what we've seen from Ferrari this year, if I'm Lewis, in that Mercedes, that's not where they used to be, I'll be really happy if I was Lewis Hamilton to see Ferrari where they are right now, because it looks like Ferrari is definitely on the up right now, and maybe they can potentially challenge Red Bull in more races later on this season.
Well, I think our own Nicole said in our chat yesterday, I trust Leclerc. I don't trust Ferrari. I think that's probably where I am at this point. A great drive by Leclerc yesterday, but can Ferrari give him the reliability that he needs to take the fight to Max Verstappen? I think it's the question that's going to be on everybody's minds, because we know Leclerc has the talent, but this was his first win in 2 seasons here pretty much. So, he needs the car to get the job done as well. Now let's talk about Max Verstappen. He was stuck in 6th place, unable to progress up through the field. Part of Monaco's nature, I believe, the first time that the top 10 who started the race in that order actually finished in the same order as well. So we know Monaco's always very difficult to overtake, but this year perhaps more so than any. So Kobe, had Max been up front within the first couple of spots or so, do you still believe Leclerc would have won, or do you think that the win was all decided pretty much on Saturday in qualifying due to Max being so far down the grid?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I think the race was decided based on the results in qualifying, and it just and yeah, Ben, you brought up that crazy stat for the first time in F1 history, a top 10 finish in the exact same place that it started. It just shows you the difficult nature of overtaking in Monaco. Very rare to see passing on this track. You have to be very bold and execute it perfectly, or otherwise it's not going to work out and you're going to end up retired from this race. I still think if Max, qualified just a few positions higher, Leclerc probably still going to win this race. I think maybe if Max had qualified second, he would have had a chance, but I think anything third on back, it would have been very difficult for him to try to get through. As we saw, there was basically no passing at all in this race, and there was really nothing that Max Verstappen could do. So absolutely, the race was decided on Saturday.
Saturday decided the race. If Max Verstappen was on the front row, I think at the end with that crash, it would have been hard for anything to change still with the lack of strategy with the pit stops. This was just one of those deals where the passing is so hard. We saw the pressure from Oscar Piastri at times. We know if there was pit stops, you had to be much more aware of what you're doing when it comes to the strategy, the tire management, and where your teammate was running for the overcut, undercut. At the end of the day, this was just one of those deals where with Max's absence, we still saw some battling. But at the end, just the nature of Monaco, Max, as great as he is, as great as his car is, that mistake ruined it where stuck in 6th place. He said he was bored behind the wheel. I can't imagine how frustrating that had to be to just cruise laps around knowing that unless there was a crash, they're not going to get around anybody.
I think Bottas overtook Sargent. I did see that. I'm
That's
trying
right.
to think if there was another overtake the entire race. Maybe there was, and TV just didn't show it, or I missed it.